Hey everybody, it is Wednesday? Wednesday, yeah. I'm recording this Tuesday night, and as I'm recording this, Boss Fight is nearing $13,000. It is $40 away from $13,000. It is 86% funded. I think that's still correct. Yeah, 86% funded. 236 backers, average pledge of $55. That is freaking awesome. Something keeps coming up that I want to make very clear. Some people are waiting to back because they're waiting to get the money. The cards for the Kickstarter will be charged on July 14th. It is not charged when you pledge because Kickstarter is something where it's all or nothing. If the project isn't funded, then you don't pay. So this one's going to be funded. There's 25 days to go and it's 86% funded. It's going to get funded, but they do not charge your card until the crowdfunding ends. So if you want to back Boss Fight, you can do so today. Your card will not be charged until July 14th, the end of the campaign. This has come up every Twitch stream, every live Feedback Friday, everything like that. So if you have been waiting today, support Boss Fight like a good bra. People love that tagline. But yes, there have been discussions about standalone t-shirts, all that stuff. Yes, I am going to work on standalone t-shirts. They will not be the same design as the Boss Fight backers get. There will be separate designs. The t-shirt for Boss Fight will be exclusive to the people who backed Boss Fight. And this time we will have less of a problem with a shirt that people can wear to work. A shirt that said Lady Bits was a bit of a problem. It was very small on the shirt, but some people still weren't comfortable wearing it to work. So I was mindful of that with the title of this particular show. But speaking of mindful speech, this came up on Twitch last night. Some people were talking about this libel judgment, defamation judgment against Oberlin College that has the culture war freaking out. Yeah, $11 million libel lawsuit. I believe there's also a substantial punitive damages as well. It's funny because Salon is reporting, Salon, a liberal outlet, is reporting 44 million in damages, 33.2 punitive, 11 million compensatory. CNN is only reporting 11 million in damages. Either way, that is a lot for a school to pay. And it took me a while after I finished the stream to find some sources that were not, completely in the bag for conservatives. I wanted a more neutral source. And the Salon article is actually pretty great. It goes on in detail, kind of what's going on with it. And it paints a pretty damning picture about what was going on at that school. Now, I'm a little concerned about, actually, I'm a lot concerned about getting into the details of this because people will call me a racist again. I'm in the middle of a crowdfunding campaign. So if you want to read up on it, I am going to post the Salon article. Again, Salon is a conservative-leaning, social justice-supporting outlet. They did extensive both sides reporting. I am basing much of my opinion on their details because it's the most detailed article I could find. The CNN article was just like, told me next to nothing. It's CNN, no surprise. They're fast news. But I don't want to talk about the racial implications. I don't want to talk about all that stuff that happened. I want to talk about the concern that some free speech activists have that this is going to chill student protest on college campuses. Because if the college is responsible for the speech of the students, what they say here, Oberlin responded to the lawsuit by arguing that none of the statements cited by the bakery owners have been defamatory, blah, 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 blah. Colleges cannot be held liable for the independent actions of their students. Institutions of higher education are obligated to protect freedom of speech on their campuses and respect their students' decision to peacefully exercise their First Amendment rights. Oberlin College acted in accordance with those obligations. Now, free speech First Amendment lawyers are saying holding universities financially liable for student speech will inevitably lead them to police and censor that speech, creating a chilling effect that is antithetical to the First Amendment. Now, I happen to disagree on that point, and if anybody saw my series on free speech, you know I am very big on free speech. The issue here is not that the college was held liable for student speech. The issue here is whether or not high-ranking members of the college staff participated actively. And according to the Salon article, there's evidence that they did. Who is it? It's a dean of students or something like that. Dean of student. I'm looking for it. Somebody with the last name Raimondo. There you go. No. There's a lot of names. No, that's not them. That's not them. Vice President and Dean of Students, Meredith Raimondo. There we go. She was very involved in this whole thing. Text messages came out in the press, apparently, that showed her actively taking a side and apparently, according to Salon, again, liberal publication, threatened basically reprisals against a staff member that opposed the student boycotts of this local bakery that got the millions and millions of dollars rewarded against the college. And that, to me, in this particular case, is why this "we can't police student speech" doesn't quite wash in this case. I think that the problem here is that high-ranking members of the school's, management, for lack of a better term, I forget what they call the upper tiers, and it's awful. My mother worked for a university my entire life. I should know this. The dean level, if you are dean level, president level, you are administrative, there we go. You are not just a professor, you are not just an associate professor mouthing off. You're certainly not a student. You are a representative of the school's faculty. But not just the faculty. You manage the faculty. Now, this person's actually the dean of students, so probably no faculty management there. But when staff directly intervene in this way, and I'm not talking some part-time assistant professor, associate professor. This is a vice president of Oberlin College. When someone like that intervenes themselves, you can no longer claim that you are just protecting student speech. When a college cancels a contract with a business, you can no longer say you are just protecting student speech. The college itself is taking steps to make statements about a local business or an individual or whatever. In this case, I don't think the ruling says that the colleges have to police student speech on campus. This is saying that it's one thing for students to say something, but when the school gets actively involved, when a school endorses an opinion, then the school is responsible for that opinion. And I think that makes quite a bit of sense. And it's interesting to me that the conservative media is jumping all over this, because I remember not too long ago when certain conservative personalities were getting no platformed at college campuses. They were up in arms screaming about free speech on college campuses. Now, all of a sudden, because it's a very liberal college, how liberal is it? Lena Dunham is an alumni. Now, if money drives the school as much as anything else in America. Why do I have so much headroom? I don't know. But, rich alumni and all that stuff still rule the day. So how liberal it is in real terms, I don't know. But they're definitely to the left. So now all of a sudden, all the conservative media who is decrying the death of free speech on college campuses, all of a sudden they're real good with this. And that's when I start going, if anybody read the comic version of Marvel's Civil War, it was like Iron Man on one side, like he was on the pro-registration. No, I don't remember. Was Captain America on the anti-registration side and Tony Stark was on the pro-registration side? Or was it the other way around? I don't remember. But anyway, they're all getting together and, the Punisher's, I think, with Captain America's camp. But he's basically like, I think you're all stupid. It was the greatest moment in, for me, a not so enjoyable overarching story in Marvel Comics. Because the ending sucked. But if you want to know how the Civil War comics ends, spoiler, plug your ears for 5 minutes. I'll wave when it's done. There's about to be this big fight between Cap's side and Tony Stark's side, and then Cap just surrenders. He just puts down his shield, and that's it. He won't fight. That's how it is. Okay, spoiler over. Disappointing, right? I'm the Punisher in this one. I think the college behaved absolutely ridiculously. If college students want to protest and get all wrapped up in the emotion of perceived racial profiling, apparently there was a video of the aftermath to an attempted shoplifting of a couple bottles of wine. And I can say, I don't have to say alleged there because the parties accused of that actually pled guilty to a charge related to that. They basically said, we did it. Now, whether you want to say that, they were forced into that, that's your bag. But, you don't have to say alleged when someone admits to it anymore. But there was an aftermath. I don't know if there was a video where people saw it or what, of the store owner subduing the person after they've come running out of the store, which sounds crazy to my Canadian standards, but by American standards, I understand that this is not so unusual. I know that this protect your property kind of thing is way bigger in the US. Some people do in Canada, but most people would not take that action. Different norms. I'm not saying one is more right or one is more wrong. I'm just saying it's different. But, there were accusations of racial profiling, which in the charged environment we live in, of course there will be. I understand why some people will never be convinced that the students accused of, trying to shoplift wine actually did it because of, the racial scars in America. None of this really matters in terms of the outcome. Not that racial profiling and things like that are not extremely serious issues that I personally think need more nuanced discussion. But in this case, when you say someone didn't do it, they're being racially profiled, and then the people say, yeah, I did it, that looks really bad on you. That sets you up for a libel suit, because even the people you're saying didn't do it, they're now saying they did it. Now, whether they did it or not, I know this is getting really confusing, but whether they did it or not, the court says they did it. They said in signed court documents, they did it. If you are accusing a bakery of falsely accusing these people and racially profiling because they committed no crime, they're saying they committed a crime, you in trouble. Like, that's libel. It's really, and of course, losing a contract and the huge damage to the reputation. They said actually that the business will survive, but the damage, because it was big enough in the area, but that the damage to the reputation was significant. And apparently an elder member of the family protesters showed up at his house. He was an elderly man. They showed up at his house at night when he was trying to sleep, and he was so startled that he injured himself. So this is not just just words. Somebody actually got hurt. When you have a court ruling that says you falsely accused someone in public and specifically told people do not shop there, that's one of the lines we were told on TV all the time. If you're going to criticize a business, criticize them, say whatever, stop short of actually suggesting an action. Do not advocate a boycott. Do not say, do not shop there. We couldn't even say there. The most censored program we ever did was a rant about the lousy service at a prominent hardware chain. And Ed the Sock said F Home Depot, the actual word, not F. They made us bleep the F Home Depot. And then they made us take out the orange shirt reference because that was a reference to Home Depot. And then they made us like, it was like bleep, bleep, and the bleep and bleep. In some ways it made the bit funnier because it was so censored, but we weren't saying don't shop there. We weren't saying Home Depot is an unethical company. We weren't saying any of that. It was just somebody going, fuck Home Depot. And the station lawyers, the TV station lawyers wouldn't even let that go. To them, that was too close to defamation. Now, keep in mind, this has nothing to do with Canadian free speech laws versus American free speech laws. This is corporate, right? Like this would have been a civil suit, not a criminal suit. But yeah, they thought even that was too close. You can criticize, you can talk about your own experience. You cannot say don't shop there. You cannot say do that. I still shop at Home Depot. I admit it. The bad service is something everybody just sort of accepts about those big box stores, right? But the reason they told us don't cross that line is because that line is real. And that's what the pamphlets that apparently this vice president and dean of students was helping hand out said. That's not just students. That's a faculty member at the school participating. I think as long as a university limits the student protests to students, no problem. The students should be able to be as ridiculous and crazy as they want to be within reason. But I really do think that this is just the other side of the ridiculous. You're not educating these people paying to learn. This is the exact opposite, like same side of a crazy coin. Sorry for the, like, you know, what is it? Mental health shaming, whatever. Crazy, like, wow, isn't that wild? Not crazy mentally ill. As the no platforming is. So like on one extreme, you've got this, the school is whole hog participating. On the other side, you've got this no platforming thing where the school is like, no, you cannot attend. Now, in some reasons where I think there's actually like, people are going to set fire to things and, you know, there's going to be fighting and rioting and all that stuff. I think the school does have to consider that. Safety reasons, different story, but just somebody might offend. I think in both these extremes, schools are abdicating their responsibility to teach critical thinking. I think that if students want to protest, that's great. They should. They should participate. They should be active. They should also be prepared to be challenged, because that was how I learned how to create a better argument, how to actually persuade people, how to, like, you know, walk that line between making people think and making them uncomfortable and completely pissing them off about 80% of the time. Nobody's perfect about it. I will not, I just mentioned getting called racist for a long time. But these students are not being able to be given a chance to learn if faculty commits whole hog to, yes, you are absolutely right, or just no platforms so people don't have to hear optional offensive stuff. And I think that schools are doing a disservice when they abdicate this responsibility. Because one of the things that I found incredibly unpleasant at the time, but now I really respect, is the professors that, instead of just being very doctrinaire and this is the way it is and this isn't, the ones that challenge, like directly challenged our preconceptions about things. And, you know, the good professors are the ones that you think are totally wrong at the time. And then 10 years later, when you have more life experience under your belt, you realize they were right. Those are good teachers. And when faculty become co-protesters, they eliminate the ability for them to sort of be wise questioners, wise sort of checks on student enthusiasm. And as much as you don't like it at the time, and trust me, nobody does, it does prepare you for the world. Because let me tell you, anybody watching this who is in school right now, you think you're getting challenged now, it doesn't get any easier. You know, I was challenged really hard. I had a lot of things that happened to me in university that I felt were incredibly unfair. I still believe were incredibly unfair. University is not the academic standards in university are all over the place. It's course to course, professor to professor. It sucks, especially since you're paying to be mistreated in some cases. But it's actually excellent training for life, because sometimes life just isn't fair. And you have to learn how to handle that. And it's better to learn it in school, which, you know, best lesson I ever learned in university, if the course is crappy in the first 2 or 3 weeks, drop the course and get your money back. It's not going to get better. And don't suffer through it. It's a waste of your time. That teaches you when to walk away. And what I usually did was you take all 5, you know, drop back. Sometimes you can pick one up. Other times you have to work. I had to work when I was in school. So it takes longer, but, you know, whatever. I ended up running away and joining the circus, but still, it's good training for life, because not everybody is persuadable. Not everybody is reasonable. And if you don't come out of college knowing how to deal with people who disagree with you, people who are getting in your way, people who want to shut you down, you're either going to have to learn that in some part of your life, or you are up for a very miserable existence, because it only gets harder until you get to the point where you have overcome those challenges and roadblocks to the point that you can kind of write your own ticket and like create your own job or something like that. As long as you are reporting to somebody else, that is a minefield you are going to have to learn to navigate. And I think that colleges, if they're not pushing back even a little against students, or if they're just shutting everything down so difficult conversations don't have to be had, that's not only not preparing students for work, not preparing students for the real world, not preparing students even for careers in media, because, oh my God, disagreement is a thing, but they are actually creating an unrealistic expectation in the minds of people entering the workforce about what kind of reception provocative ideas are going to get. It's not just about being right. You have to convince other people you're right. And that's what I think Oberlin didn't do here. That's what I think the no platforming that, you know, some conservative voices, it's probably happened to some liberal voices too, although in a lot of those cases, it's liberal voices feeling it's not safe to attend. But whenever anybody gets no platformed, it's not good. Whenever something like this happens and nothing's challenged, it's not good. I mean, Betty Friedan, writing The Feminine Mystique, talk about college is a place to be challenged in a manageable way, but you have to expect some challenge. And unless students are going there to get a degree in protesting, I don't think that exists, but unless they are, then schools are blowing teachable moments by trying to be a student's friend instead of a student's mentor or teacher or guide. And that's where I come down on all of this. It's, like I said, I think 2020 is going to be peak culture war, like I said on Twitch a while back, to be specific. I think 2020 is going to be peak culture war. And after that, there's going to be some kind of reckoning, and then either the dust is going to settle when we pick up the pieces, or things are going to be like slowly calming down, because this cannot continue. And economic circumstances are getting better for a lot of people. It hasn't hit most people yet, but it's starting to. Wages are starting to increase. Millennials are finally going to start feeling economically, millennials and post-millennials, I should say, are finally going to start feeling somewhat economically stable. And when that happens, these issues of culture will really calm down, because historically, these things only really get nuts when people feel financially insecure and unstable. It's a direct corollary. Look it up if you want to. I'm out of time. So remember, if you like this sort of analysis that doesn't pull punches, but, is fair and doesn't attempt to offend anybody, Boss Fight is going to be a lot of this too. Support Boss Fight like a good bra. Thank you so much for watching.